Good morning everybody, it's Claire Jones here from Your One Life Healthy Weight Solutions, and I'm here with you this morning on Monday the 7th of August 2023 for episode 49 of Monday Morning Matters. I can't believe we're almost at 50 episodes now, this is crazy. Anyway, today's subject is all about ultra processed foods and should we eat them. Now, they've been in the news quite a lot recently, and there've been some TV programmes around them, and it's quite a topical subject, so I thought I would wade in on the subject and give you my opinion. If you are watching live, I would absolutely love it if you said hello in the comments, and if you're watching on catch up, I would absolutely love it if you said hello in the comments, because what that does is it lets Facebook know and YouTube know that you want to see these kind of videos and you want to see my content, and obviously it's fabulous for me that you want to see my content, because obviously that helps me to spread the word further around the work that I do and how I can help. So please do join in, and obviously if you have any questions as I go through, please do ask or comment, and even if I don't see them come up as I'm going through the session, I will come back to you afterwards, so please don't feel that just because it's on catch up that I won't see it. I will do, and I'll come back to you as soon as I can. So ultra processed foods, and should we eat them? This is a bit of a $1 million question, because as I say, this has been in the news a lot recently, and they do tend to get a bit demonized, and you know, we're told that they're bad for us and that we shouldn't eat them, but at the same time they're all around us all of the time. So how can we avoid them? So I'm going to go through a little bit about what they are, what some of the risks are, and what my opinion is around what should we do, you know, as a society, as individuals within this society that we find ourselves living in. So first of all, what are ultra processed foods? Okay, well, they've been sort of classified as foods that have 5 or more ingredients. Now, I'm just going to read, because I'm writing a blog about this as well, and it can be a little bit dry subject. So I'm just going to read out what's going to be going into my blog, which is basically that ultra-processed foods are the 4th category of foods which contain 5 or more ingredients. The other 3 are minimally or non-processed foods, which have been minimally altered from their natural state. Processed ingredients, which are foods added to other foods, such as oils, salts and spices. And then processed foods like jam, tinned fruit, and other foods, certain breads and cheeses, and then we have the ultra processed foods, which have got 5 or more ingredients, and they include things like ready meals, crisps, dehydrated soups, breakfast cereals, and carbonated drinks. And they tend to have extended shelf life due to the added preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colours and flavours. So there you are. That's what ultra processed foods actually are. And they're all around us. You know, we just need to walk into any supermarket, any corner shop, and most of the foods that we will see will be ultra processed foods. And so there's no getting away from them, really, is there? Unless you don't leave the house or you grow everything yourself at home and don't need to go to the shops. So what's the problem then with these ultra processed foods? Well, there's a number of things that really seem to be the issue, and some of these may or may not resonate with you. So the first one is weight gain, which obviously, you know, this is a subject that I'm very familiar with from both my personal and professional experience. And the reason why ultra processed foods are associated with weight gain is because they tend to be so high in calories, and they tend to be very moreish, so we tend to eat quite a lot of them, and being highly calorie dense, we don't need to eat very much of them before they really impact on our waistlines. And they're cheaper. They're often cheaper than other healthier foods. They're very, very widely available. As I said, you know, walk into any shop and we're bombarded with them all the time, aren't we? And they are so tasty. They are engineered. They are manufactured in this way. They're not made in a factory to begin with. They're made in a lab, because the food manufacturers and the retailers want to get the taste just perfect, so that we want them all the more, and so we'll keep spending our pounds on them, and of course we then gain pounds on our waistlines because we keep going back for more. So that is the reason why ultra-processed foods really impact on our weight. Another issue is that they are lacking in essential nutrients, so the vitamins and minerals that we need for good health. So if the majority of our diet consists of ultra-processed foods, we're not going to be getting as much of the other foods that we need in order to stay healthy. So over time, this might lead to ill health and deficiencies due to ill health due to those deficiencies in those essential vitamins and minerals. And I know our group expert Anita will, I'm sure, have lots to say on this. So Anita, do feel free to comment when you watch this in terms of anything you might like to add in relation to the nutritional content of ultra processed foods, or the lack of, shall I say. The next thing is that they can be, or they're in studies, they are linked to chronic diseases, and that includes obviously the ones that are relating to being overweight, such as diabetes and heart disease. Because if we're eating a lot of ultra processed foods and gaining weight over time, that is going to lead to the health issues that are associated with being overweight, and cancers, various cancers are also in there as well. There's a strong association with various cancers and being overweight. Poor gut health is another issue, because again, if we're not getting if the majority of our diet is coming from ultra processed foods, we're not going to be getting things like fibre that we need, and as I said, those essential vitamins and minerals that all support our gut health. And if our gut health is not good, then that's going to lead to all sorts of problems, including our brain health as well. So because there's a lot of this is obviously beyond my remit, but there is a very strong association between gut health and brain health. There's lots of information about there on that if you want to read more about it. And so, of course, also if our brain is not getting the nutrients that it needs, it's going to impact on our mood. And of course, what happens when we have low mood? What do we tend to do? We tend to comfort eat. What do we tend to comfort eat on? Ultra processed foods. So we get around in this vicious circle, and many of us get stuck in it, and understandably so, because the world we're living in, these foods are everywhere, and we've got to find a way of managing this. And of course, then finally, there's the addictive properties. Now, depending on sort of what your view is around addictions, my view is that addictions are habits that cause harm. Okay, so if we've developed some strong habits with ultra processed foods because they're high in sugar, and it's well known that we crave sugary foods. If we eat a lot of sugary foods, we crave more sugary foods, and if we eat less sugary foods, we crave them less. They are habits which, if we don't follow a habit, we feel uncomfortable. So in order to stop feeling uncomfortable, we do more of that habit, and that's and as I say, if it's causing harm, then we could call it an addiction. So ultra processed foods tend to be highly addictive, and there's it's no coincidence that the Pringles slogan is "Once you pop, you just can't stop," and you could apply that to many processed foods, ultra processed foods. So those are the problems. Okay, there are a lot of them. What's my opinion? Okay, my opinion is, let's be real. Who wants to actually stop eating all ultra processed foods? I know I don't. I love my chocolate, I love my crisps, I love my bread, I love lots of ultra processed foods that are not good for my health. What I have been able to successfully do, however, is keep them to a sensible proportion of my overall diet. So I tend to live by the 80-20 principle, where 80% of my diet is as nutritious as I can manage it. Then I've got 20% of my diet to have what the hell I like, whether that be on a daily basis or a weekly basis, because obviously, when we're socialising, if we know we've got lots of things going on at the weekends, then we want to let our hair down a little bit. But we don't want to do it to the point where we're starving ourselves all week and then we go overboard at the weekend. It's about finding a careful, sensible balance, putting some sensible boundaries around that part of us that just wants to eat everything. Because don't forget, as I've spoken about previously, we are hardwired to eat as much food as we can when it's available. And of course, ultra processed foods are highly available and very tasty. So of course, we're going to want to eat a lot of them. So we've got to learn how to manage that part of ourselves that wants to eat everything. So by putting in sensible boundaries, just like we need to do with children when we're bringing up children, or when we're training a pet, we can't let them have everything they want all the time. It's the same principle here. We can't eat all of the food that we want to be able to eat, because if we do, we are going to run into all of those problems that I've explained. So by putting in some sensible boundaries, the 80-20 principle, then we can make it much more manageable. Obviously, that does mean that we have to be, prepared. We have to plan, because we're always going to want to eat more than is good for us. But we don't have to do everything that we want. We can't do everything we want, because if we did, the world would be full of anarchy, wouldn't it? If everybody was just running around doing everything they wanted to do all of the time without any boundaries in place. So we've just got to apply that to ourselves and the way that we eat, to put in some sensible boundaries in place. So let's just say you're trying to lose weight and you're following a diet of, say, 1,600 calories a day. You have a daily budget of 1,600 calories, or a weekly budget of, hang on, I worked this out earlier, of 11,200 calories. Okay, so on a daily basis, you could have 320 calories, could be whatever you fancy, as long as the remaining calories are, highly nutritious, as best you can manage. Or if you were looking at it on a weekly basis, 11,200 calories is your total weekly budget. 8,960 of those calories need to be coming from, highly nutritious food as best you can. But that still leaves you 2,240 calories for you to have during the week, which you could actually do over the weekend if you needed to balance it in that way. But you still have to have that overall sense of what your budget is, what you can afford. Because if you don't do that, then it's so easy to overeat on highly processed foods, so ultra processed foods. So, if you think about how many calories are in a takeaway, for example, or a meal out. I mean, one of my favourite places to go is the Hard Rock Cafe, and I absolutely love their burgers and chips. And, I'd love to have a dessert while I'm there as well, maybe have a glass of wine. But if you look at the calories on their menu, I could easily get through about 4,000 calories if I did that, just in one meal. So even if you're having 2,240 calories through your week, you've still got to, it's not a case of, oh, well, that's it, I can have whatever I like. We still need to have that sensible boundary. And by planning ahead, knowing where you're going to go, knowing what choices you're going to make in advance makes all of the difference. Whereas if you leave it until you're starving hungry, if you remember how we look at a plate of food when we're hungry versus when we're not, we see it completely differently. We behave, therefore, very differently. So we need to kind of save ourselves from ourselves by planning ahead and making the decisions in advance and not allowing ourselves to get over hungry, so that we don't end up not caring about what we do, and we can keep an eye on what our goals are. That's all I've got time for. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments if you think it was helpful. If you've got any other questions anything that I haven't covered in this talk. Obviously, there's only so much I can get through in just over 10 minutes, although I think I've been going about 15 now, because most of you who know me know I don't usually stop at 10 minutes. I keep going because I could talk about this stuff for hours, but I really do need to go now. This will be available on my blog as well this week. I will be uploading it onto my website this week, so I will obviously share the link when that's done. Please do like and share this if you found it useful, and obviously keep in touch and keep an eye out for the next topic. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I will keep you posted. It might even be about weight loss injections, because I know that's a big topic at the moment, and I know people have questions about it. So I'm going to probably be talking about that very soon. If not next week, then soon after. So have a great day, have a great week, and I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.